And with that, it's a privilege to have former minister in the presidency, Isop Pahad, and we have political analyst Themba Zonke and ANC Youth League Secretary General Njabulo Nzuza. And thanks, gentlemen, for joining us. You at home, you're most welcome to participate. It's on 011-542-2186. Let us start in terms of the very rich history of the ANC, that criticism from the opposition saying that Aisafani, it's not the same, and therefore that's why the decline in numbers. Mr. Pahad, just reflecting on in 1994 when you took office to where we are today, where you think the challenges are for the organization?
Well, first of all, I think if you look at the results of the last national and provincial elections, the ANC got more or less the same percentage of votes that we got in 94. So if there is a decline in the votes for the ANCs over the last few years, and we'll have to see now in the local government elections what the actual decline is, because we don't know yet. The elections are only going to take place on the 3rd of August. But I don't think that it's deniable that the ANC is going through a very difficult period. And sometimes it's not all that surprising, because all governing parties, and especially those that come through a very difficult national liberation struggle, do go through a very difficult transition phase in which younger people have to come in, replace the older ones. They're a bit maybe less experienced. And so it's not unique that the ANC experiences this difficulty. I think what is important is for the ANC to demonstrate that it has the capacity and the determination and the commitment to fully understand and appreciate what the difficulties are and then overcome them. Because the ANC's history is that the ANC has always demonstrated the capacity to overcome even the most difficult problem that it has faced. And I am very convinced that the ANC still has that capacity to overcome and resolve the problems that it has.
Senator Themba, we've seen erstwhile leaders coming hugely in criticism of the ANC, particularly with the Nkandla Concord saga in Joburg, with disgruntled ANC members, or at least those that are vociferous in the social space, saying that because of the e-tolls and all other issues of corruption permeating within government, you know the drill. So with these stalwarts now being brought in, do you think that will influence, persuade the sway vote particularly differently?
I think with what the ANC is doing is what any party would do in terms of highlighting its record. Its record in history of struggle, its record in delivery. And I think that's the key thing that the party would be looking to do, to show at least the connection that it has with the people. Again, one of the things that we need to look at is the lack of a youth vote. A lot of the people who are voting, about 75% of them are over 30. So these people have still got a good connection to the struggle and to the nostalgia of the ANC with its key icons and stalwarts.
But does that message resonate with the youth, to say that the ANC is entitled to govern because of the rich history, the suffering and the banishing of leaders such as yourself, Mr. Pahad, being in exile, being removed from your family, and essentially not enjoying most of your adulthood because of the sacrifices that you made? Does this message resonate with the youth?
Well, firstly, what you must know is that you cannot at any point subcontract youth mobilization for the African National Congress to struggle stalwarts. The ANC Youth League itself, has that particular duty to rally young people behind the banner of the African National Congress. But what this does, the issue of struggle stalwarts, is that it diminishes myths that have been created before, that the ANC has tended to be totally against what it actually stood for, which has been propaganda that has been, sent out there. And when struggle stalwarts stand up, it says, okay, the ANC still believes in the same values, even the old guard still believes in the African National Congress. It wipes up that particular myth that has been created. But we can then not subcontract and say that we'll leave it to struggle stalwarts to mobilize the youth. We have not done that as the Youth League. each and every week we go out as from Thursday right up until Sunday to mobilize young people who are, strangely enough, against popular belief, we find that the majority of young people are in churches.
Yeah, but let's draw from the wisdom of our elders and stalwarts in how the Youth League in itself has had a number of controversy, particularly with the expulsion of Julius Malema and now subsequently the formation of the EFF, where some critics would say, had that not happened, you would have actually had a stronger ANC Youth League and therefore almost a given guarantee that you'll have the majority youth vote. Now you have a contender in earnest of the EFF.
Well, look, splits and divisions occur in every movement in the world. So again, I want to insist that let's not exaggerate it as if these are very unique problems that the ANC faces. Secondly, I don't believe that stalwarts on their own, or veterans as we are the answer. No. Our responsibility is to assist the movement to the extent that the movement needs our assistance. Because the movement must always depend on the strength of its membership, and its membership is located in the branches. And the branches is the very heart of the ANC. And if your heart doesn't function, forget it, your brain will also collapse. So it's very important in the ANC to understand that it is the branches that must function, it is branches that must take the initiative, it is the branches that remain the fountainhead of the ANC. And so to the extent that veterans, stalwarts, whatever you want to call us all things, is that we are not an answer. The answer lies with the ANC itself. The answer lies with the present leadership of the ANC. What the veterans can and must do is assist the African National Congress when they're called upon to assist, and assist the ANC in the way the ANC wants, not in the way a veteran may think he or she is best suited to give that assistance. But what the veterans do have, which is critically important for any organization in the world, is that veterans have experience, they have expertise, they have a very deep understanding of the history of the movement, they have a deep understanding of all the challenges that we face throughout our history and what we've been able to do in the course of our history to overcome these challenges. And this is where the veterans can play role in terms of using their own understanding, their depth of knowledge, their experience, their expertise to strengthen the African National Congress and to try to get the African National Congress out of the present difficulties that we face. But I want to say I am quite convinced that the masses of our people on the 3rd of August will vote for the African National Congress here in Johannesburg, in Ekululeni, in Nelson Mandela Bay Metro, with all the difficulties we're facing in Tshwane. But with Comrade Togo Didize as our candidate, I have a lot of confidence that we are going to win Tshwane. And so the Democratic Alliance must go and eat their words, because they are claiming they are going to win all these metros. They must come here and eat their words. And you must ask them, give them a plate and say, eat, eat, eat. Because the ANC is not going to lose these elections.
All right, respectfully, we have to take a caller. David in Mpumalanga, thanks for holding. Hello to you, and thanks for calling.
Hello, thanks, Cindy. With due respect to the veteran sitting there, the state of the ANC is very bad. The Youth League of the ANC is nowhere to be found. They are fighting day and night with the ACCP in public. They are not coming on board to support the ANC convincingly. Another thing, their head of campaign, Nomvula Nkonyane, inexperienced. They have sidelined Balula, who was working with Julius in the campaign with the ANC Youth League to strategize. He's got more experience, but he was sidelined. The Nkandla issue has also got its toll. I remember Matolo Musecha was there with you there with Professor Guto, trying to explain and defend and indefensible. So I think the ANC must go back to the drawing board. However, it's too little too late.
But so,
The
David,
youth
you think that the ANC is not able to introspect and self-correct at this stage in the lead up to the polls? All right, we've lost David there, but I think as you were explaining, Dr. Pahat, that it is time now to go back to the drawing board, to the grassroots, the very engine of the ANC. But I want to come back to the perilous of an organization, not necessarily being about the liberation or independence. It's really about avoiding defeat. And there is a talk that, we're going into a political evolution where the voters are shifting towards different alternatives. So it's not a given that, the majority will necessarily vote ANC as the polls will suggest. Senator Temba, what's your view?
I think the evolution that the country is going to, as you mentioning, that it's not a given, it's an important thing for any political party to understand that, whether it's ruling or it's hoping to rule. And I think that's the kind of thing that we are probably seeing with the ANC in its move to roll out its veterans and struggle stalwarts, because it understands that it really needs to push as hard as it can to retain its rule over the key metros that they are competing for. And that's the same thing that is required by the opposition, such as particularly the DA, which has put in people like Herman Mashaba, who they think might be able to give them the votes in Johannesburg. But we shall see when the third comes, if that will work for the DA as well, in who they roll out.
All right, let's get another view from Tom, who's calling us in KwaZulu-Natal. Hi, Tom.
Hello, how are you?
Good, sir. Thank you. How are you?
Okay, actually, I think the ANC, they must go to the drawing board, because we have been looking at the way they work in these days. We are the members of the ANC, but the way they perform, it seems as if they don't look on the ground. People here, our leaders on the ground, they are just using money, and they even tell the people that they are just boxing money the way they like. And it's like our ANC is going down the drain, and it's so painful if we see the things the way the things they are doing. It's so irritating. We have fought for this organization, but now it's like we are just playing. We are just playing, guys. It's really painful. It is really painful.
We'll have our panelists respond to you. Happy is calling us in the Free State. Hello, Happy.
Sorry, a minute.
Happy is calling us in the Free State. I'm sorry, Tom, we have to allow other callers. Hi, Happy.
Good day, madam.
Yes, sir.
My name is Happy Tozan. I'm a military veteran.
We're listening.
Yes. This thing which is portrayed by the panelists, and which has been seen going on and on and on, that is not true.
What do you mean?
No, we fought for this struggle. We know the difficulties that we have been in all the way. My issue is the ANC has fought for this struggle, and we will win these elections. We understand where the ANC has taken us from where we started. And we are still continuing. And in the Free State, we are working very hard with the Premier, Isma Khashule, and we don't have that problems that they're having in Arati. It's a high time that we, as the ANC members, we must admit and go directly to the constitution of the ANC follow them up. Thank you, ma'am.
All right, Happy. Thanks so much. If Dr. Pahad, if I may ask you to respond to Tom, who was talking about the sidelining of Mbalula and certain factionalism. I guess you can deal with that issue generally that has been reported widely in the media.
Look, any movement that is beset with issues of serious challenges of factionalism, or where some or other leaders are isolated, it's at the cost of the movement. And I'm not saying that the ANC hasn't gone through this difficult period. It has. And I'm not saying that it will not come back inside the ANC. It might, even when he's grown up and he's beginning to become a veteran, he might face these problems. The serious issue is whether the leadership as presently constituted, whether it's in the Youth League, whether it's in the branches, in the regions, whether it's at the level of the NEC, NWC, the top six, whether they have that capacity, that determination, that commitment to get to the root of the problem and then deal with it decisively. Because where there are those serious challenges of people being isolated because they are perceived to hold a different viewpoint, then the movement must deal with it. Because you cannot have a united and cohesive movement in the context of this kind of infighting. So nobody is denying that there aren't difficulties. I think we know, all of us know, that there are difficulties and challenges that we face inside the ANC. But I am arguing that we're not the only movement. You can look at history and you've seen other movements. And the question is, will the ANC demonstrate the capacity to deal with this thing? I think the ANC has the capacity, and it is my hope that it will demonstrate this capacity in a way that goes beyond the August 3 elections. Because the August 3 elections is a phase in the process of electing people. But the core of the movement, the ideology of movement, the thing that keeps the movement together, the glue that keeps the movement together, is well beyond the elections on the 3rd of August. And so what the ANC membership have to do, what the leadership at all levels, what the Youth League has to do, what the Women's League have to do, is to see how we bring this ANC, how we unite this ANC so that when we go to the national conference at the end of 2017, the ANC emerges from that national conference not weaker, but much stronger to deal with the issues. So that's what one hopes will come. But nobody denies that there are difficulties and challenges inside the African National Congress.
It's certainly an emotive discussion. Gift is calling us from Soweto, and we'll take you, Motsuneng, straight after. Hello to you, Gift.
Yes, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. What's your comment or question?
Thank you. Let me go to the leadership there. My comment will be on the youth poll. I want to ask the ANC Youth League whether do they believe that they can draw much of the young people to vote for the ANC, but also to ask what makes them feel, if they feel so, that EFF remains the opposition and is the one that draws large numbers of young people. Can they answer that?
All right, much appreciated. Gift Motsuneng, hello to you.
Hello.
Hi, yes, sir.
Hi, good evening with your guests there. I think you see the stalwarts from me as an ANC member, they mustn't come when things are bad, like now we're facing the votes. They only come now. They, through their experience as on the organization, they should have sit down with the current leadership and guide them how to move the organization forward. Not now, because there's a lot which happened, like Nkandla issues, Guptas, all that stuff. It's a lot, and those things has just make people to be, you see, to have a negative towards it's not the ANC as such, but the leadership, because now people now at the other side, it's all about positions. You see,
right.
more than service delivery.
Thanks so much.
I wish they can call those people to assist them to take the organization forward.
Okay, and as Dr. Pahad was saying, in terms of the remedial action, having the capacity to self-correct and deal with issues at the root cause of it, from the ANC members, it's sounding that it hasn't been done adequately or as per requisite to say this is the issue that we have with, and the response hasn't been adequate. What's your view, Njabulo?
Well, firstly, you know, the third last caller makes an assumption which is very incorrect. In fact, Fikile Mbalula is head of organizing and campaigns of the ANC. Even today, we're supposed to sit with him in that meeting. So, you know, when lies continue to be peddled, they end up becoming the truth. So we must correct those things. Two, one of the things is that Oliver Tambo says be wary of the wedge driver. That was in 1969. Now, one thing you must know is that the fact that he said be wary of the wedge driver, it's because there was a wedge driver. It meant that the ANC was going through problems. But with those problems, the ANC was able to deliver formal political democracy to the masses of our people. That's the second fact I would like to state. The third fact I would like to state, that EFF and Julius, they were a disease in the organization, and they had to be extracted because they were eating the organization from within, causing disunity in the organization. And when there is a lot of enemies within, then the enemies outside surely will prosper over you. And it was a correct decision by the African National Congress to extract that particular disease. Another assumption that is made is that, they are strong on the ground. I can tell you, they came to contest at Wits, they were beaten hands down. They came to contest at the University of Johannesburg, they were beaten hands down. We continue to beat them where young people continue to be voters. So even now on our election campaign, they are nowhere on the ground. They just exist at paper and media discussions. But when you go deep in the ground, you realize that the majority of young people of this country realize that the African National Congress has actually done a lot for them. Some of them will not be holding degrees if it was not for the ANC. Some of them will not be even the black middle class that they are if it was not for the ANC. And we are mobilizing those young people. And the true measure of the victory of the African National Congress to mobilize young people will come on the 3rd of August, where they will come out and they will vote for the African National Congress.
All right, let's take a caller in Davidton. Thanks so much for calling in. Anonymous, what's your view or question?
Yebo,
Yebo, ma'am.
Sindine futukisho ne. Abantu mabayeke kulokhu beqhubeka becriticize ANC this, ANC that ne. I-ANC iyabonakala iyabasebenzela abantu. Umuntu obonakala ukuthi kunenkinga or ngabe khona into angayiboni ayihambi kahle ke-ANC. Makaye ema-ofisini abonjabulo bakhona, makazame ukuthi aye lapho unjabulo bekhona. Esithi Njabulo ulala ngisala khona mina ngiboni kahle ngicela ngichazele siza kanjani. Makaye umuntu ukriticize ahlala criticize ANC ayenze lutho ayenzeli ini nani. Abantu mababe imponti banenkinga mabaye ema-ofisini. Mangumlandeli ANC oqinisekile oqotho. Ngeke uhlale lokhu ufona criticize but uzoya lapho kunenkinga khona e-ofisini ye-ANC futhi ANC senza kanjani, because it doesn't help to criticize ungayi ema-ofisini ungahlangani nabantu be-ANC ubonisane nabo ubontu uzoya.
All right, Anonymous, siyabonga kakhulu. It's basically saying that members need to be involved and follow the structures of the party. But if they're familiar with the Constitution, we've seen more public spats amongst ANC members or the Tripartite Alliance than necessary. So why is it members are not conforming to the structures? Is it a high level of frustration, or is it just a case of misconduct?
I think with any organization, what you will find is that a lot of times such structures which are announced, there is the formal structures where people can announce their grievances. Sometimes they don't resolve those issues. So it results in people going in the public in terms of trying to resolve or at least expressing their disagreement. So we should never necessarily dismiss people's criticism. They might have already utilized most of their internal structures to voice their concerns.
Dr. Bahar, just in conclusion, looking at using the wisdom of the founders of our democracy as a nation, that social cohesion, non-racism, non-sexism, and the prosperity of all South Africans, how do we articulate that message if we are poor in all directions regarding political parties wanting to garner votes?
Well, let me first of all refute any notion that all wisdom resides in age. It doesn't.
Modesty is not becoming.
But what I know from experience and the way we worked in the movement when we were young is, first of all, we showed great respect for those who were older than us in the movement, even if they didn't hold positions and we held positions. Because it's critically important that people should find a way in which they respect those who have gone before them. You might be much smarter, and I'm sure the young people, I'm technologically literate, so all of these young ones, even my grandchild is better at playing with technological things than I am. But the important thing is the ANC has something that no other movement in this country has. And the ANC has this reservoir of great experience of many people who went through different phases of our struggle, participated in different aspects of our struggle. And therefore ANC has this advantage which it should utilize. But it's not your answer. It should utilize this in order to get to the answer. The answer in the end, I think the caller said so, the answer in the end is the mobilization of your ANC members.
Dr. Pahad, we're going to have to leave it there. I'm afraid we're fresh out of time, but thanks indeed for gracing us with your presence. That's Dr. Iso Pahad, and we have Snetemba Zonke, political analyst, and Njabulo Nzuza, the ANC Youth League Secretary General. For now, though,